Don't move to Spain until you know the 6 things that I'm going to discuss with you in today's video. Now, trust me on this, guys. I live here. In actual fact, I've been living in this wonderful country for 20 years. But when I first come here, I was caught off guard by many different things. So if you're thinking of starting a new life in Spain, stay with me to the end so you don't make the same mistakes I did. Okay, the first one up has to be the language. Now, I can't stress enough how important that I personally feel it is that you speak the language of the country that you've chosen to live in. I think it's only good manners that you do. Now, like a lot of Brits, when I first arrived here 20 years ago, I thought I could win it. I thought with my English, everybody speaks English nowadays, it would be absolutely fine. But I soon found out that wasn't the case. Now, when I moved to Spain, I moved to a small city in the northwest of the country, a city called Santiago de Compostela. And within days, it became apparent that I was getting very, very frustrated. I couldn't explain myself. I couldn't get what I wanted when I went into a store. So this is a huge mistake for many Brits. So if you are thinking about moving to this country, start getting the basics learned before you even come here. And my personal advice would be start with the verbs. Now, when I started to learn the language, I made the error of learning millions of singular words, table, ceiling, chair, whatever it may be. And the truth is, you can have an amazing extended vocabulary of many different words, but if you haven't got the verbs to be able to use the words, then you're pretty much stuck. So learn the verbs, but this for me is 100% the most important thing you should do if you're considering moving to Spain. Okay, the second one will be driving in Spain. Now, I used to be an ex-class 1 driver pulling fridge trailers over the whole of the European continent, so I've driven in most, if not all, European countries. But Spain, still, 20 years after moving here, still shocks me on how the style of driving is here. So to give you an idea, some of the things to expect when you first start driving on the roads in Spain. First up is normally a complete lack of indication. When a car's changing direction, you won't always know. 2 is parking on zebra crossings, parking on junctions, parking around roundabouts, parking on pavements. Wherever there's a parking space, you will find that the Spanish are masters at putting their car into it. Another one that we see a lot is random braking, unable to maintain a set speed. Lane hogging is a firm favourite, but by far the most dangerous one is the Spanish roundabout system. Now, here in Spain, they're taught basically to use the right-hand lane at a roundabout for all manoeuvres, whether they're exiting to the left, the right, or going straight on. So this is one where, particularly during tourist season, we see so many accidents. So when you're first going to drive in Spain for the first time, expect the unexpected, and that's the best way to stay safe on the Spanish roads. Okay, number 3 would have to be paperwork, because in my opinion, Spain works on paperwork. I've never known a country where paperwork is so important to get jobs done. Now, usually when you're trying to apply for your NIE, your residency, a health card, or even just setting up a utility bill, you're going to often need 3 copies of everything. Now, as I said at the start, if you take the time and you learn the language, even just the basics, it will make all these things a lot easier for you. But the truth is, as a newcomer with basic Spanish, I would suggest that you employ a gestor. Now, a gestor in simple terms is basically a paperwork fixer. And by having a gestor, yes, you will have to pay for it, but it will save you endless weeks of frustration and trips backwards and forwards, to whoever it is you've got an appointment with to get registered for something, simply because you're missing a stamp or a bit of paper. But this is something that you're going to have to get used to very, very quickly, because it can honestly feel like a full-time job in Spain sometimes, just arranging paperwork. Okay, number 4 would have to be the time it takes to get things done here in Spain. Now, everything here, at least everything that I can think of, takes much longer than expected. You need a plumber, you can wait 2 weeks. You need your car repaired, it can be a month. And don't even think about rushing government paperwork, because it simply doesn't happen. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's extremely frustrating when you first move here, and it's still frustrating now for me after 20 years. But the truth is, it's just part of the lifestyle. Things here in Spain run at a much slower rhythm, and if you're able to accept it, it will certainly make your time living in Spain a lot easier. Number 5 would be customer service. Now, customer service in Spain runs completely different to that of, say, the UK or the US, where business models are focused around their customer service. Here in Spain, customer service just doesn't simply exist. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the Spanish don't help you. They will go out their way and try everything in their power to help you. But a typical scenario can be you could be on the phone trying to buy a service or trying to arrange something at, say, 10 o'clock in the morning. And you'll be told that somebody will call you back by 4 o'clock in the afternoon with it all arranged. 4 o'clock comes and goes and you haven't received a call. This is a very typical scenario that I come across almost on a daily basis. So customer service expectations in Spain, you must lower them if you're living here, because at the moment, businesses just don't run with the same expectations that us in the UK or the US expect. Number 6 would be employment. Now, I see many people the dream of moving to Spain on expat forums in Facebook. And one of the questions that I see so often from people that are still living in the UK wanting to come here is, how can they get a job? And the truth is, it's not easy finding employment in Spain. It certainly helps if you can speak the language, but in my personal opinion, most positions are always filled by the Spanish first, and I completely get that. That's great that the country will look after their own before another nationality. However, if you are considering moving to Spain and you still need to have an income, I would suggest looking at doing something for yourself. Do your homework before you come here. There are many options for you to be self-employed here, but employment with a Spanish company, as far as I know, for an English person is extremely, extremely rare. So don't move to Spain until you're ready for those 6 things: language, driving, paperwork, waiting times, customer service, and employment. But the truth is, despite all of that, it is still worth making the move. You know, the weather, the lifestyle, the food, the culture, the people. Spain gives back so much once you learn to adjust. Now, if you've enjoyed this vlog or found it helpful, please remember to hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe also. It's absolutely free to do. It doesn't cost a penny, but every one of your subscriptions helps the channel to grow. Anyway, enjoy whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next one.